Welcome to Forex Daybreak, a daily podcast where we cover 8 Forex pairs and give you our view on the market direction for these pairs. If you are trading Forex market, this is the #1 show to start your trading day. Now, let's begin today's episode.
Good morning everybody and welcome to Forex Daybreak episode 48. In this daily Forex update, I will give you my view on 8 Forex pairs I analyze using Elliott Wave principle. My name is Ville Ainio and today is 14th of October 2015. This podcast is recorded also as video and it is available from the members area at ForexDayBreak.com. The analysis is best viewed as video, but you can follow along with the images found on the show notes page at ForexDayBreak.com/48. Now before we start, I have some great news for you. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and start trading my analysis on this podcast. Starting from episode 50, I'm going to switch gears a little and start focusing on trades on this podcast. I'm going to do this on a demo account at first for legal reasons and do a little analysis on the side. I'm not going to analyze all the 8 pairs every day necessarily, but focus on those with trading opportunities. So from episode 50 onwards, this show is all about trading the Forex market with you. I'm going to tell you what I trade, why I trade, and when to trade. Basically, this podcast is going to be a free signal service for all listeners. Share the podcast and tell your friends about it so we can get as many traders on board as possible. Our first pair is Euro USD, and Euro USD is making a top in my opinion. 114.105 is now the high, and since yesterday when that high was formed, we have been making a sideways price action, possibly making a small degree ending diagonal here, but in my opinion the top is in the making and we should expect a next larger move to be to the downside. And of course the continuation of the decline, the large decline, has been long awaited. Here this very large, very complex sideways minute wave 2 has been going on and on, but the momentum is fading in my opinion, and the top has been probably has been formed on the last high at 114.105, and if this is indeed the top, the next move should be down. First larger target is to go past the recent peak, which is at 113.175, and after that 111.045, and of course this trend line, which is connecting the lows, is around 111.8, 112 levels. Those are the targets next on this pair, but first we need to see if this is really the top or if we are going to see further advances in Euro USD. And if we break the 114.6 level, then of course this larger wave count needs to be revised, and we are still forming the 1 degree larger corrective wave 2, a minute wave 2. And when we see first signs of impulsive structure to the downside, then we can start to make further confirmations that the large decline has resumed. And next is dollar yen, which has made some effort to move to the downside. The trend line I have on my charts has been broken. My wave count was expecting a decline to complete this large corrective structure. WXY is the labeling in my charts. Also 1 degree smaller is also WXY. So this is very complex corrective structure. So I have a first 3-wave structure ABC forming the W part, and now this very complex sideways structure is forming a smaller degree W, then X, a 3-wave structure like so, and now a Y wave which has started to form. So perhaps the divisions A and B are right here, and then we should see a 5-wave structure as wave C to complete the Y part of this WXY correction, and after that an upwards move for the next leg of this correction. So my wave count is expecting a more downside for a little while, and then a reversal and an upwards move. All right, pound dollar next. Pound weakened yesterday on some deflation news, which were of course unexpected. These always are. So pound declined quite hard, and I have reviewed my pound charts this morning and yesterday. In this labeling, let's see the daily chart. In this labeling, I have labeled the intermittent wave 2 as complete on the last high of 159.336, and then we have seen minor degree waves 1 and 2, and then minor degree, and then even smaller minuet degree waves. So 1 2 1 2 1 2. There's also a possibility of a leading diagonal here for the first wave, but the larger structure, in my opinion, is that we have started the next larger decline to the downside. But at this point, this is very hard to figure out, since there's a lot of overlap, and also there's a possibility that we are still forming the intermediate wave 2. So if we go back to the 4-hour chart, we can see it in more detail. 158.18 is the recent high, and in my labeling it's minor wave 2. Then we have a decline, minor wave 1, a 3-wave structure as a minor wave 2 now, because these are not textbooks 5-wave structures, but they are more impulsive looking than the upwards moves. So this is a clear 3-wave structure from the low of 151.6 to high of 156.58. It's a clear 3-wave structure. Also, this recent move up is a 3-wave structure. The declines are more impulsive looking. This is the main reason I have labeled this as so that this is the main reason I am looking for an impulsive wave down. Also, that very large decline, strong decline yesterday, is supporting this view. So let's see how this develops. If we get a more clear structure here, this is my labeling now, and more downside is expected. Next is euro pound. Yesterday I revised my count in euro pound when I made my video analysis for ForexDayBreak.com, and I wasn't satisfied with the wave divisions I had in my previous labeling. So now I have labeled A, B, and now maybe C. We can see a 5-wave structure now formed, and there can be now a very important top made on this latest high, which is at 0.7493, so almost 0.75 levels is the previous high, and this can be a very important top which has formed here. Let's see how this will form. If we get more downside and decline towards 0.74 levels, even lower than that, so when we start to see a decline and an impulsive structure to downside, we can be more certain that the top has been made on this previous high and next larger move should be to the downside. Okay, Euro Yen is next. The large triangle scenario here is playing out and we have seen a decline. These triangle wave divisions, they can be very choppy and overlapping, and this previous price action is supporting this view that we are in a triangle, because there's a very choppy price action on both directions, on up and down. And next we should see a decline towards the lower end of the triangle trend line near 132 levels to complete the next leg of this large triangle, and after that we are in for one more leg of this triangle. So we are forming now the E part of this triangle and should see a decline towards 132 levels. Okay, pound yen next. In pound yen I have made a revision and went back to my old labeling, which puts this recent 188.276 high as intermediate wave X, and now the recent 5-wave structure from the 188 towards 180 levels would be minor wave A of intermediate wave Y. So this is more or less the same labeling I had before. This is little suspect because the degree is so high, but I'm going to go with this wave labeling right now, and this labeling is expecting more downside and a 5-wave structure to form minor wave C of intermediate wave Y. So next larger target is to move below the 180 level and towards new midterm lows. Okay, Euro Canadian dollar next. Euro Canadian dollar declined yesterday and I have labeled the recent high as minute wave 2 of minute wave 3. So we can make out the 5-wave structure from the high of 151.56 to the low of 145.47. There is a very long and strong first wave, but the third wave is not the shortest, so this is a legitimate 5-wave structure according to the Elliott wave rules, and from that low we can see perhaps a 3-wave structure for minute wave 2, and now the recent decline can be the start of next impulsive wave down. But until we see a 5-wave structure to the downside and an impulsive structure, and perhaps I would like to see also a breakthrough that 146 level. Before that, this is uncertain if we have started the next decline towards new midterm lows. Final pair is US dollar Canadian. This 4th wave correction is not necessarily over yet. We can possibly see more downside on this pair, and we might have made the B wave division here. So this 3-wave structure right here can be the B wave division on this Y leg of this 4th wave correction. So then we should expect more downside to complete this large correction and very powerful correction. But after that correction has found its bottom, we should expect more upside on US dollar Canadian. Okay, that's all for today's episode. Remember that next week I'm going to start putting my money where my mouth is and start trading my analysis on this podcast. So starting for episode 50, I'm going to switch gears a little and start focusing on trades on this podcast. Starting next week, this show is all about trading the forex market with you. I'm going to tell you what I trade, why I trade, and when to trade. Basically, this podcast is going to be a free signal service for all listeners. So share this podcast, tell your friends about it, so we can get as many traders on board as possible. Now, thanks for listening to my show. Go make some profits, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Thanks for your interest in Forex Daybreak Daily Podcast. If you like this show, we hope you'll visit our website, www.forexdaybreak.com, and tell your friends about us. Be sure to check the show notes on our website for this episode. Join us next time for another episode of Forex Daybreak.